For Action News, I'm Anna Dulosky. Prostate screening, it's a highly debated topic in public health practice, and recommendations support the idea that it does more harm than good. But despite the U.S. Preventative Service Task Force and other experts' recommendations, a large number of men are still undergoing the screening anyway. And understandably so, many of them may think there's no downside to screening, but some experts say there is. PSA tests, in fact, cannot determine what type of cancer a man has or whether or not that cancer will ever be life-threatening. Overdiagnosis is therefore common, which is said to affect about 70% of men, most of them being treated for tumors that are benign. ACTIA's Dr. Gilbert Ross has more.
PSA testing, prostate-specific antigen blood testing, was really discovered in the late 1980s, and in the early 90s it took off as a routine screening test, and men of basically all ages were demanding the PSA test to see if they might get prostate cancer. And for the next 20 years or so, every doctor and many patients were ordering or receiving PSA tests with a thought that if it's a little bit elevated, then you have to get a prostate biopsy and other types of approaches to treatment of potentially lethal prostate cancer. Now, prostate cancer is something we need to pay attention to. It's the most commonly diagnosed cancer in men. Over 200,000 diagnoses of prostate cancer have been made over the course of each year in the last several years. And the death rate from prostate cancer has diminished from the 30,000 plus range into the high 20,000s. Both of these phenomena can be explained by the increasing use of PSA screening tests, because the more testing for prostate cancer you do, the more you're going to find. Okay, but here's the thing. Prostate cancer is usually not an aggressive cancer. It's an indolent, i.e. slow-growing cancer. And just finding that cancer doesn't mean you have to remove it to save a life, because very commonly prostate cancers grow very slowly, if at all, and men live into their 70s, 80s, and 90s, and they die of old age or heart disease or whatever old people die of, and they're found to also have prostate cancer, which did not harm them. However, the treatment, even the biopsy testing for prostate cancer, and then the treatment for prostate cancer, which usually involves a radical prostatectomy, can be quite debilitating. It not uncommonly leads to impotence and incontinence, and sometimes bowel problems as well, especially if radiation is involved. So the treatment of prostate cancer is very often worse than the disease. The strong recommendation from the articles and from we here at the American Council on Science and Health is skip the PSA test. It's been shown not to be a very reliable screening test, and its interpretation leads to heartache and turmoil and adverse effects much more often than it does any good.
To read more on this story and others, you can head to our website, actia.org. That's acsh.org. And while you're there, don't forget to also sign up for your daily dose of news delivered straight to your inbox. For Action News, I'm Anna Dulosky.